From footage of mermaid-like creatures washed up on shore to stories of encounters with aggressive water creatures in Zimbabwe, these are real mermaid sightings deep-sea fishermen can't explain. Always cool seeing what washes up on shore at the beach, isn't it? Unless, of course, it looks like this. This is a pretty horrifying image, real or not, and I gotta say it does look pretty realistic. You'll notice the creature's jaw even moves slightly like it's breathing or attempting to breathe. Whatever it is, it doesn't look like it's doing very well health-wise. I think there are a lot of people who kinda wish mermaids and mermen were real. You know, beautiful people gliding through the water, singing pretty songs at night, luring sailors down into the dark, brackish depths of the sea, never to be seen again. I would not be getting lured anywhere by this ugly monstrosity, though. So this is a very strange video. Supposedly it comes out of Kenya, but I've heard it coming from other parts of Africa too, so I'm not 100% certain. In the video we clearly see what looks to be a young mermaid-like being washed up on a beach surrounded by onlookers. It's clear that the supposed mermaid is actually on camera. I mean, this is a real person. The question is whether they're a real mermaid or just a person with a fish attached to their lower half. And yeah, that's almost definitely the case, but what creeps me out about this video is why it exists. I just have so many questions about this thing. There's just something very uncomfortable about this footage. Why was this created? Who is the person they've attached to this fish? Are they okay? And just what the hell is the music the uploader has added to the footage? It doesn't fit at all, and it just makes the whole thing even more strange and unsettling. During World War II, strange sightings were reported in the key islands of Indonesia, where Japanese soldiers stationed there encountered what they described as mermaids, or mermaid-like creatures. Local villagers familiar with these creatures called them orang-ikan, or manfish, and they were said to stand at just under 5 feet tall, with pink salmon-colored skin, spikes along their spine and neck, and a mouth resembling that of a carp. Instead of a fishtail, they had long arms and frog-like legs, both ending in talons. So they're basically the creature from the Black Lagoon. The soldiers claimed to have spotted the creatures both in and out of the water. One story came from a troop exploring a lagoon who saw one of the things leap onto a rock, facing the soldiers and making a gurgling, burping noise. As another creature swam swiftly towards them, the soldiers fired shots at the rocks and water, but the creatures vanished before their eyes. Later, Sergeant Tero Horiba asked villagers to notify him if one of the creatures was ever captured. Eventually, the village chief presented a lifeless specimen to him. Creature about 4 foot 9 inches tall apparently matched the description perfectly. These photos are pretty famous in the world of deep-sea cryptids. They were taken by a man named Jeff Leitcher in 1998. He was a diver who claimed to have captured the first documented proof that mermaids exist. It all happened about 20 minutes off the coast of Kauai when Leitcher was diving with a group. While swimming with a pod of dolphins, he noticed what appeared to be a woman swimming alongside them. What caught his attention was that she was keeping up with the dolphins. Then the woman suddenly leapt out of the water, and Leitcher realized she had the lower half of a fish. The woman jumped twice before disappearing in the water, leaving the group completely stunned. Then, about an hour later, while Leitcher was photographing some underwater life, the same mermaid-like creature supposedly brushed up against him as she swam by. He quickly snapped a few pictures just as she turned around. I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century. The Kauai Point mermaid is real, Leitcher said. In 2009, something strange started happening near Kiryat Yam, Israel. Dozens of locals claimed to see a mermaid off the shore at sunset. Over time, more and more people reported spotting the creature, describing it as resembling a young woman who would frequently visit the beach and perform tricks in the water. As the sightings gained more and more attention, the Israeli government even got involved, and they offered a $1 million reward for anyone who could provide proof of the mermaid's existence. No need to capture it, just an authentic photo would do. NBC sent a film crew to investigate. They stationed themselves at Kiryat Yam Beach, both above and below the water, filming around the clock. And one night they claimed to have spotted a human figure dipping into the water before disappearing. The research crew did their best to track the mermaid down, but they couldn't pinpoint its exact location. The footage was sent to Coastal Oceans Research in Los Angeles for further analysis. Michael Schacht, the center's director, reviewed the footage and said although it was impossible to unequivocally determine the figure in the footage, it still remains a viable option. In other words, could be the real deal, but it's not definitively proven.
During the Cold War, Soviet submarines patrolling near the Sea of Japan recorded something bizarre on their sonar. What sounded like high-pitched singing, followed by multiple fast-moving underwater objects surrounding their vessel. At first, the crew believed it was a foreign sub, but no signatures matched known technology. One sonar technician described the singing as, quote, almost human, but not quite. Years later, after the fall of the USSR, some of these logs were leaked to independent researchers. Many now believe the Soviets may have encountered the same mysterious beings that Pacific Island cultures describe as sea sisters, a group of female spirits or creatures who travel in pods, warning or punishing those who disturb the ocean. Off the island of Vis, off the Croatian coast, sailors have long spoken of sea girls who appear in the moonlight singing to fishermen. And in 2016, something strange happened. A group of night fishermen swore they saw 3 long-haired women sitting on coastal rocks. They were naked, appeared to shimmer in the moonlight, and vanished into the sea when approached. Initially laughed off by the public, the story gained traction when cell phone footage surfaced, brief and grainy, but showing 3 glowing shapes diving in unison. Marine biologists later confirmed the video showed, quote, no known animal behavior, and that area is now unofficially off limits to small boats at night. This one isn't a legend, it's actually a scientific theory with some strange implications. The aquatic ape hypothesis suggests that a branch of human evolution may have adapted to life in the water, developing traits like subcutaneous fat, breath control, and even partial webbing between fingers and toes. Mainstream science largely rejects it, but here's the strange part. People in remote coastal areas from Indonesia to Mozambique describe sightings of humanoid creatures with those exact features. Webbed hands, smooth hairless bodies, exceptional swimming speed. Could these be descendants of a lost evolutionary branch? Some anthropologists aren't laughing anymore, especially after scuba divers found handprints in underwater caves far deeper than any known human could reach without modern gear. In 1830s Louisiana, newspapers ran with a bizarre story. A fishwoman had been spotted multiple times along the banks of the Mississippi River near Baton Rouge. Witnesses described a creature with long black hair, pale skin, and fish-like lower limbs. The sightings caused panic. People refused to bathe or fish in the river, and boat captains rerouted cargo trips. What's wild is that these stories didn't go away. In 1842, a letter to the editor in the New Orleans Bee referenced an aquatic woman with haunting eyes spotted again, and even blamed her for a sunken steamboat. While no physical evidence ever surfaced, the consistency and fear surrounding these sightings make them stand out among American mermaid lore. In 2021, a team of researchers studying glacial melt near Greenland dropped a deep-sea camera into a subglacial cave. What they captured shocked them. A figure, upright, bipedal, but unmistakably aquatic. This creature hovered in the background for several seconds before darting away. The footage was dismissed by officials as, quote, distorted data, but the researchers who collected it told a different story in private. According to them, they reviewed the raw footage frame by frame and watched as the figure turned its head toward the camera, revealing wide-set eyes and thin gill slits. They called them shadow divers, beings that exist on the edge of where life should be possible. And if you ask them off the record, they'll say that we are not alone down there. In 2005, a team of commercial divers working off the coast of Baranof Island in Alaska reportedly encountered something terrifying while performing maintenance on deep-sea pipeline. According to a declassified safety report from the contractor, 2 divers surfaced early, shaken and refusing to go back down. One claimed he saw a, quote, human face with gills staring at him from a crevice in a rock. They described the creature as having webbed hands, reflective eyes, eyes, and scales that shimmered in their flashlight beams. Locals weren't surprised. In fact, some Inuit legends speak of sea people who dwell near that exact region. They even have a name: the Kalupalik, mermaid-like beings that lure people underwater with a hum you can only hear when submerged. High up on the windswept cliffs of the Faroe Islands, a remote chain in the North Atlantic, there is a cave that few people dare enter. Inside are carvings, ancient ones, etched into the rock. They clearly depict human-fish hybrids drawn with long hair, webbed hands, and tails. According to local historians, these markings predate Christian influence in the area and may have been created by Norse explorers. But here's the twist. One panel shows what appears to be a mermaid holding a dead man's head. Creepy? Absolutely. But archaeologists can't deny the authenticity, and some believe the site was a ritual space used to ask protection from sea spirits during voyages. These weren't just artistic depictions, they were warnings. In 2013, an offshore oil rig operating in the Gulf of Mexico experienced a strange sonar reading. Something large, fast, and warm-blooded was circling the base of the platform. Assuming it was a shark, divers went to inspect the structure, but returned reporting, quote, "something strange watching us from the shadows." One diver swore he saw a pale-skinned human-like figure swimming against the current with almost no effort. He said it had no breathing apparatus, yet it was moving at least 60 feet down. Internal emails from the rig, later leaked online, referred to it as, quote, "the mermaid incident." No formal statement was ever released, and the crew involved were reassigned shortly after. Most people think of the Fiji mermaid as a 19th century hoax, an ugly little thing that turned out to be a monkey sewn to a fish. But here's what most people don't know. There were dozens of reports of similar creatures in the South Pacific long before it became a circus attraction. Fishermen from the islands have passed down stories for generations of a creature with glowing eyes and silver fins that comes to surface during storms. Some researchers believe the, quote, "original Fiji mermaid," shown by P.T. Barnum, may have been a poorly preserved copy of something real because other specimens that looked nearly identical were reportedly destroyed by British colonists trying to, quote, "clean up native beliefs." In 1978, a geologist hiking near Iceland stumbled across a strange fossil embedded in a rock wall. It looked like a partial skeleton, with a humanoid rib cage, scaled lower limbs, and elongated finger bones. He turned it over to the University of Iceland for study, and then it vanished. To this day, only photographs remain. Some experts suggested it was a hoax or misidentified fish bones, but the proportions didn't match any known marine species. What's stranger is that mermaid sightings are extremely common in Icelandic folklore, especially in that region. Locals believe that fossil was proof of an evil sea witch believed to lure sailors into whirlpools and drown them.
In 2012, Zimbabwe found itself caught up in a very strange case involving mermaids that had workers fleeing from their dam sites in the country. Water Resources Minister Tsamsipepa Nkomo addressed the issue during a Senate committee meeting, revealing that mermaids had been scaring away government workers at dam sites, or that's what workers had been saying. According to Nkomo, the workers were so terrified by these supposed creatures that they abandoned their posts, refusing to return. Nkomo shared that traditional chiefs had been called in to, quote, "perform rituals to exorcise the mermaids believed to inhabit reservoirs." The mermaids, often described as female creatures with fishtails, were said to frighten the workers by allegedly pulling people under the water. In response to the workers' fears, Nkomo had even attempted to hire white personnel, assuming that they wouldn't be familiar with the mermaid legends, but they too then started reporting strange sightings and would refuse to work on the project. Now, there was skepticism from some, obviously, including Minister Nkomo, who thought that maybe the strange cases could have been caused by hazardous water currents, but the government decided to carry out the traditional rites to calm the fears of the local workers anyway. This footage comes from Marginal Media on YouTube, who explained that he'd captured the footage while diving in the Great Barrier Reef. He'd been testing out an underwater camera when he spotted the creature, only he didn't realize what he'd filmed until later when reviewing the footage on his laptop. At the time, he'd been too busy futzing with the camera, but felt something coming from behind him. He managed to shoot it, but at the time, while underwater with, low visibility like this, he figured what he'd seen was just a normal fish. Now, he was adamant that what he'd filmed was not from a movie or anything like that, and that he hadn't filmed it in a controlled environment like a swimming pool. He says it's 100% genuine, so believe him or not. In 1809, a woman named Miss McKay from the town of Thurso in Scotland claimed to have witnessed a real mermaid while walking along the beach. According to her account, in the Kentish Gazette newspaper, she had an up-close view of the creature and described it in great detail, saying, "The face seemed plump and round, the eyes and nose were small, and the former were of light grey color, and the mouth was large, and from the shape of the jawbone, which seemed straight, the face looked short." She also said that the mermaid's forehead, nose, and chin were white, but the side of the face was a bright pink. The mermaid's hair, which Miss McKay described as thick and long, with a quote, grey, oily cast, appeared to be a challenge for the creature as the waves often threw it over its face. She said the creature seemed bothered by this, frequently using both its hands to push the hair back and rub its throat, almost as if trying to remove any dirt from the water. On June 4th, 1857, two Scottish sailors, John Williamson and John Cameron, reported spotting a strange creature off the coast of Britain. While at sea, they saw a creature in the water that they described as resembling a woman. According to their account, "We distinctly saw an object about 6 yards distant from us in the shape of a woman, with full breast, dark complexion, comely face, and fine hair hanging in ringlets over the neck and shoulders." It sounds like these guys were out of the water a little too long with nothing but each other. Anyway, they described the creature as being submerged up to its middle, with its head above the water, gazing at them and even shaking its head. Going on to write, "The weather being fine, we had a full view of it, and that for 3 or 4 minutes." And finally, in 1967, near Main Islands in British Columbia, something strange happened. A ferry filled with tourists spotted a blonde-haired mermaid-like creature sitting on the beach, eating a fish. One witness even described her as attractive with dimples. To top it off, a photo was taken showing a woman with blonde hair and the lower half of a porpoise. Later that week, another mermaid sighting apparently occurred, but by then, skepticism was growing and a lot of people understandably started dismissing the sightings as hoaxes. Charles White, owner of the Undersea Gardens, a ship doubling as an underwater aquarium, offered a $25,000 reward for the mermaid's capture. He even promised room and board, plus special combs for the mermaid's comfort. So quite an odd offer, but he was desperate to prove that she was real. Unfortunately, after a few weeks, the story lost steam and the mermaid sightings faded into local legend.
In 2009, residents of a quiet coastal town in Israel called Kiryat Yam started reporting something completely bizarre. A mermaid seen lounging on rocks at sunset before diving into the sea. Dozens of witnesses claimed to see the same thing. A female figure with pale skin, a fishtail, and long dark hair. The sightings became so frequent and credible that the local government did something no one ever expected. They offered a $1 million reward for anyone who could prove the mermaid's existence. One man said he watched her do a backflip before vanishing. Another woman swore she saw her tail slap the water. News outlets across the world picked up the story, camera crews came, tourists showed up, and yet no one was able to capture solid proof. But the stories didn't stop, and here is the weirdest part. The reward still stands to this day unclaimed. When Christopher Columbus spotted land in the Caribbean, he wasn't just discovering new territory, he may have discovered a mermaid. In his 1493 ship log, Columbus described seeing 3 creatures rise from the water with the upper bodies of women and tails like fish. His exact words, "They are not as pretty as they are depicted, reported, for somehow in the face they look like men. Most historians chalk this up to a manatee sighting, but that doesn't fully make sense. Columbus was an experienced navigator, he knows what manatees looked like, and why would he mention their faces at all if it was just a sea cow? What makes this more intriguing is that other sailors on his crew also reported similar sightings. These weren't isolated events, they were shared, consistent, and written down in one of the most famous explorer journals of all time. Could Columbus have stumbled onto something we've since lost? In the rough, stormy waters between the Scottish mainland and the Outer Hebrides lies a stretch known as the Minch, and sailors have feared it for generations. The reason? A strange and sinister race of sea beings called the Blue Men. These weren't graceful mermaids, these were blue-skinned, human-sized aquatic beings who were said to control storms and drown ships. Legend says they would swim up to a boat and shout poetry or riddles at the captain. If the captain failed to answer in rhyme, the Blue Men would overturn the vessel. While this sounds like classic mythology, here's a very strange thing. This exact story has been passed down for hundreds of years with very little variation. Sailors in that area regularly experience unexplainable equipment failure, freak waves, and vanishings. To this day, some Scottish fishermen won't sail through this area without leaving an offering in the water. Superstition or something they're too afraid to talk about? You decide. In 2012, construction crews working at 2 separate dam sites in Zimbabwe refused to return to work. The reason? They claimed that they were being harassed and even physically attacked by mermaids living in the water. This wasn't just a local rumor, it reached Zimbabwe's House of Assembly. High-ranking government officials confirmed the stoppage and admitted traditional healers were being brought in to appease the water spirits. The mermaids, known in the local Shona culture, are believed to live in deep pools and protect sacred water sources. Locals describe them as beautiful but dangerous beings who can bless or curse anyone who crosses them. Despite pressure, workers wouldn't return until ceremonies were held, and after the rituals, work resumed without further incident. That kind of mass fear, especially among adults working a government project, doesn't just come from total imagination. Something in those waters had to have scared them.
Now onto the Israel sighting. In 2009, dozens of locals near Kiryat Yam, Israel, claimed to see a mermaid off the shore at sunset. Now these sightings went on for some time before the local media got involved. The onlookers said the creature resembled a young girl and would often visit the beach and do tricks in the water. Eventually, the Israeli government noticed all the attention and issued a $1 million reward for anyone who could provide proof of the mermaid. Now this didn't include capturing, it simply required an authentic photo. Now no one ever came forward, but in 2013, the most compelling piece of evidence to date was a video shot by 2 tourists. Now the pair thought they had spotted a seal on a rock just off the coast, but as the camera zoomed in, it became clear it wasn't a seal. It was a mermaid. Now despite the evidence looking real, the prize money has not yet been handed out, but hey, that footage looks real to me. Give those people their money, it's only fair. Let's discuss the Zimbabwe sighting. Mermaids don't really like being around humans, and I can't say that I blame them. Now this was made extremely clear in the case of the Zimbabwe dam workers in 2012, who were trying to install a water pump which was crucial to the local agriculture. Now local divers and workers were hired to see what was blocking the pump, and when they surfaced, they vowed to never return. Why? Because there was a mermaid there. Sam Sipia Nkoma, a water resource minister, told the Senate committee that the village chiefs could perform an ancient ritual to get rid of the mermaid and calm the workers' anxiety, but they still refused to return after the ritual was performed. Now being skeptical of the workers' reasons for quitting, the government hired outside help as they thought this belief was cultural, but the new workers reported the same thing and refused to finish the repairs. Now to this day, the dam is still not finished. And hey, I wouldn't mess with a mermaid either. I think it's best that they left it alone. Next up, we have the Hawaii sighting. The island of Hawaii has plenty of folklore and legends around beautiful aquatic creatures, and the mermaid is one of them. For more than 50 years, people have reported seeing a mermaid off the coast of Hawaii's Big Island. But the sightings were never taken seriously until a dive boat captain finally captured the half-woman, half-fish on camera. Dive master Jeff Liker photographed the creature known as the Kauai Point Mermaid on April 12, 1998, as he and 6 other divers were exploring the ocean bottom about 20 minutes off Hawaii's sunny Kona coast. As Jeff was photographing some underwater life, a mermaid brushed up against him while swimming and turned back around just in time for him to snap a few pictures. He said, "I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century. The Kauai Point Mermaid is real." Now, this wasn't the only time he spotted the mermaid, as just a few hours before, he saw what looked like a nude woman swimming with a pod of dolphins. The woman was able to keep up the pace with the dolphins, which Jeff thought was odd. All of a sudden, she jumped into the air and he realized that she had the lower half of a fish. Now, 10 people on a boat witnessed this incident, but the mermaid disappeared after just 2 jumps out of the water. And lastly, we have the Minnesota sighting. A mysterious video claims to show the moment a mermaid was pulled from the water, prompting claims the mythical creatures do exist. The clip shows a green tail floating in the water and a figure being put onto a stretcher. The video was taken by an Australian tourist on a beach in Minnesota, but the precise location is unknown. According to Paranormal Elite, a YouTube channel which was sent the footage, the person who filmed it stayed behind after the beach was cleared. The man, identified only as Mackie, said large vehicles arrived with some people wearing yellow hazmat suits to protect them from dangerous materials. A Paranormal Elite spokesman said, "The creature seen bears striking resemblance to the mermaids depicted in fictional stories. There remains a mystery whether or not mermaids do inhabit lakes in Minnesota. After all, what happens when the lake freezes in the winter?" The enthusiast continued, "I urge everyone to keep an open mind and come to a conclusion yourself. If this is in fact fake, the question arises as to why anyone would go to such lengths to hoax a video like this. Now, I honestly don't know if this is real or not. It truly just stumps me."
It began with a storm. Fishermen off the coast of Toyama Bay in Japan were pulling in their nets after days at sea when they saw something trapped inside. At first, they thought it was a large fish, but as they hauled it closer, they froze. The creature had the face of a human woman. Its mouth was small, its hair was long, and its body ended in a silvery fishtail. This encounter became one of the earliest recorded mermaid sightings in Japan. Local officials were called, and the body was allegedly displayed for villagers to see. According to accounts from the time, the creature was around 10 feet long, it had small, sharp teeth, and pale white skin. Centuries later, researchers found scrolls and illustrations describing this. Unlike the Western idea of beautiful mermaids, the Japanese mermaids were believed to bring either good fortune or disaster, depending on how they were treated. Fishermen swore the creature appeared just before a major storm that destroyed several boats. Some believed it was a warning. The freezing waters of Newfoundland are the last place most people would expect to see a mermaid, but in 1614, explorer and fisherman John Smith claimed exactly that. While on a fishing expedition, Smith described seeing a creature with long, green hair, porcelain skin, and eyes as large as saucers. He wrote that she had the upper body of a woman and the lower half of a fish. What's stranger is he said he felt, quote, an affection toward the creature, believing at first it was a woman swimming near the boat. It wasn't until he saw the tail flick beneath the waves that he realized it wasn't a human. This account became famous because of who recorded it. Smith was not just any fisherman. He was the same man who became one of the founders of the colony of Virginia. His journals are preserved, and historians have debated for centuries whether he saw a manatee or something else entirely. But according to Smith himself, it was no animal that he recognized. Fast forward to modern times. In 2009, fishermen off the coast of Kiryat Yam, Israel, claimed to have seen something leaping out of the water at sunset. One man said he thought it was a swimmer, then the figure bent its tail, splashed the water, and vanished. Multiple witnesses reported the same thing over several weeks. The sightings became so widespread that the town actually offered a reward of $1 million to anyone who could bring proof of the mermaid. The fishermen described the creature as pale, with a woman's upper body and a shimmering tail. Some said she liked to appear at dusk, perching on rocks. Authorities investigated, but no body or physical evidence was found. Still, the story made international news. Even years later, many fishermen insist what they saw wasn't a seal or a dolphin. They swear that it was a mermaid. During World War II, Japanese soldiers and local Indonesian farmers on the Kai Islands reported one of the most detailed mermaid encounters ever recorded. The creature they saw wasn't the beautiful fairy tale mermaid. It was something much stranger. Locals call it a human fish. The fishermen claimed it had a reddish pink skin, a mouth shaped like a carp's, long arms, and spines along its head. It wasn't graceful or delicate. They said it swam aggressively and let out a shrill sound when approached. Japanese Sergeant Taro Horiba reported seeing the creature himself while fishing with locals. He described it as about 5 feet long with webbed hands and a fish-like tail. These sightings were so convincing that the Japanese military sent out patrols to try and capture one. They never succeeded, but official reports from 1943 still exist describing the bizarre encounters. Most people have heard about the Fiji mermaid, famously displayed by P.T. Barnum in the 1800s. It was later exposed as a hoax made from a monkey torso and a fishtail, but what many people don't know is that the display was actually inspired by repeated reports from Pacific fishermen who swore they'd seen similar creatures. In the early 19th century, sailors and fishermen in the South Pacific claimed to have caught mermaid-like creatures with small humanoid figures. One British captain wrote in his logbook that he saw a, quote, shriveled womanfish with a long tail and, quote, finger-like claws. While Barnum's display was fake, the sightings that inspired it were real. These accounts were recorded by multiple crews at the time, and some naturalists even examined dried remains that have since vanished. Whether they were misidentified marine animals or something else, those fishermen swore they caught something unlike anything they'd ever seen before. In 1730, Hans Egede, a Danish-Norwegian missionary, wrote about something he saw while sailing near Greenland, a creature that defied explanation. He described it as having a human head and torso with a fish-like tail. According to Egede, the creature rose beside the boat, stared directly at the crew, then slowly sank into the sea. What makes this account so unsettling is who Hans Egede was. A serious, devout man whose writings were focused on converting Inuit populations, not really fantasy. He wasn't known for exaggeration or tall tales. In fact, many of his missionary accounts are painfully dry. So for him to suddenly document a mermaid, well, it's a bit odd. Historians today still include Egede's account in discussions of unexplained ocean phenomena. He even sketched the creature in later versions of his log. He either hallucinated or he saw something that he really couldn't explain. Japan's version of a mermaid is not the romantic beauty you'd expect. Known as the Ningyo, this creature is a mix of human and fish with a grotesque twist. Golden scales, sharp claws, and a monkey-like mouth filled with tiny human teeth. According to ancient legend, eating the flesh of these creatures grants eternal life, but catching one brings disaster. In the 1800s, fishermen supposedly caught one off the coast of Shikoku Island. The creature died shortly after, but was preserved and shown to a local official. And here's where things get even stranger. Reports say its remains were later hidden in a Buddhist temple to avoid bringing misfortune. In 2022, scientists analyzed a mummified mermaid stored in a shrine. Though DNA testing showed it was likely constructed from various animals, the preservation techniques suggest someone genuinely believed it was real, so why go to such lengths if it was all just a hoax? In Serbia's Lake Varana, locals whisper about the Mermaid of Black Lake, a pale, humanoid figure with long black hair that emerges on foggy mornings. In the early 2000s, a group of hikers claimed to have seen the creature from a distance, describing it as female in shape but with unblinking white eyes and scales across its arms. When they tried to approach, it vanished into the water with a splash. What's eerie is that locals had told nearly identical stories for decades, even before modern media could influence the narrative. In 2013, an Icelandic diving team exploring an underwater cave near Greenland captured something odd on camera. The footage, which was briefly circulated online before being lost, showed a humanoid figure with fins darting behind a rock. The diver filming could be heard screaming underwater before the camera cut out. Though skeptics cried hoax, the divers themselves, experienced professionals, stood by what they saw. Some believe the footage was confiscated due to its implications, and it doesn't help that government bodies reportedly shut down that cave to public access not long after. In the 1940s, fishermen off the coast of Benin, West Africa, claimed to have found what looked like a mermaid corpse tangled in their net. The body, which reportedly had webbed hands, fish-like skin, and a mostly human skull, was taken to local authorities. But within days, it was removed by officials and allegedly flown to France for study. Nothing was ever released to the public, and what makes this case so strange is how many unrelated locals swore they saw it and how quickly it was covered up. Some claim it was part of the Mami Wata legend, a powerful mermaid spirit worshipped across West Africa. In 1967, a ferry captain off the coast of British Columbia saw something on the rocks that stunned him. He wasn't alone. Passengers on board reported seeing a blonde-haired mermaid lounging on the rocks near Main Island. Photos were taken and one even made it to a local newspaper. Some said it was a prank, but others insisted that it was real. In fact, the town embraced the story so much they started selling mermaid souvenirs. The strange thing, no one ever came forward to claim it as a hoax. No models, no performers, no confessions, just a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Imagine you've been at sea for months. You're dehydrated, sunburned, and slowly losing your grip on reality. Then, suddenly, you spot a figure rising from the waves. Long arms, a rounded face, and what looks like a tail sliding beneath the surface. You've just seen a mermaid. Or so you think. In reality, you've met a manatee. Christopher Columbus himself wrote about encountering mermaids in the Caribbean in 1493, though he admitted they were, quote, not as beautiful as they are painted. Harsh, but understandable. Manatees are large, gentle marine mammals that can grow over 13 feet long and weigh more than 1,000 pounds. But when they float upright to breathe, cradle their young, and glance towards a ship, it's not hard to see why sailors, hyped up on rum and desperation, thought they'd found something magical. It's one of the clearest examples of myth meeting biology. If the manatee is the mermaid of the Atlantic, the dugong is her cousin in the Indian Ocean. These guys are smaller, more streamlined relatives of manatees, and they've also played a major role in mermaid lore across Southeast Asia, East Africa, and even Australia. What's eerie is how these guys nurse their babies. They do it upright, so if you're watching from a boat, it looks like a human woman holding a child while floating in the sea. Add long, flipper-like arms and a tail that tapers like the classic mermaid fin, and the illusion becomes downright spooky. Ancient cave paintings and oral traditions from Malaysia and Papua New Guinea depict sea women that match these guys' anatomy almost exactly. There's even evidence that early sailors created fertility charms modeled after them, thinking they'd witnessed a sacred being. Turns out mermaids might have had tusks and whiskers this whole time. It has the body of an eel, the head of a dragon, and teeth like a medieval torture device. Meet the frilled shark, one of the most bizarre and ancient creatures still swimming in the oceans today. This deep-sea predator can grow over 6 feet long and really hasn't changed much in over 80 million years. When it surfaces, which is rare, it sends shivers down the spine. Its gaping jaws are filled with over 300 needle-like teeth arranged in rows, and its body moves in snake-like waves, exactly the kind of horror that fuels darker mermaid legends. In Celtic and Scandinavian folklore, there are stories of sea maidens with sharp teeth who lured fishermen to their deaths. Japanese Ningyo tales describe mermaids with a grotesque face and a body like a serpent. Many of these descriptions match the frilled shark far more closely than the romanticized Disney version that we're used to. It's the kind of creature that makes you wonder if sailors are seeing mermaids or monsters. You're floating in calm waters when suddenly a massive silver ribbon glides beneath your boat. It's over 30 feet long, has glowing fins, and moves like it's dancing. That's not your imagination. That's an oarfish. These rare deep-sea dwellers are the longest bony fish in the ocean and live thousands of feet below the surface. But when they're sick or dying, they float upward, and that's when humans get a glimpse. Ancient sightings of sea serpents off the coasts of Norway, Greece, and even the Pacific Islands often describe shimmering finned creatures with a crown-like head. That matches the oarfish almost perfectly. In Japanese folklore, oarfish are known as messengers from the sea god's palace, and their appearance is believed to predict earthquakes. Some Pacific Island legends also talk about sea queens, or glowing maidens, who rise before disaster. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you see the oarfish in motion, it's easy to understand how one fish could launch 1,000 mermaid stories. Alright, so technically not a sea creature, but stick with me, the axolotl might be one of the strangest and most mythical animals on Earth. Found only in the ancient lakes and canals of Mexico, these little amphibians have gills like feathery crowns, wide eyes, and permanently smiling faces. They also have the rare ability to regenerate entire limbs and even parts of their brain. To the Aztecs, the axolotl wasn't just an animal, it was a god. They believed it was the transformation of Xolotl, the twin brother of Quetzalcoatl, who turned himself into a water creature to escape sacrifice. The word axolotl even translates to water dog or water spirit. In Mesoamerican mermaid folklore, there are stories of gilled women who live in sacred lakes and healed the sick. It's easy to imagine a culture encountering a glowing, smiling, regenerating water creature and building entire legends around it. In fact, many locals still believe axolotls bring luck and that harming one invites a curse. That's a lot of weight for one little smiling amphibian.
One of the strangest mass sightings happened in 1737 in the Bering Sea. A group of Russian fishermen claimed to have seen a creature sitting on a floating piece of ice, combing its long hair. They described the upper half as a woman and the lower half as a fishtail, greenish in color. The creature then plunged into the water and reappeared on the other side of the boat, almost as if it was circling them. Terrified, the fishermen returned to shore and told others. Within weeks, more boats reported the same thing. This incident caused what became known as the Bering Mermaid Panic. Entire fishing crews refused to go out to sea at night. Reports continued for months before finally fading away. While some historians think they may have seen seals or sea cows, the detailed descriptions make this case one of the most persistent in northern waters. Not all mermaid sightings happen in the ocean. In 2012, construction workers and fishermen in Zimbabwe claimed they encountered a mermaid-like creature in the reservoirs of Gokwe and Mutare. The fishermen said they saw a pale figure with long hair rise out of the water at night. It allegedly made strange noises and scared them off. The workers refused to return to the sites, and the sightings became such a big deal that government officials brought in traditional healers to perform rituals. Local officials didn't deny the reports. In fact, they confirmed that multiple crews had refused to work because they believed a mermaid lived in the water. To this day, many locals insist the creature is real, and it remains one of Africa's most widely reported mermaid encounters. In 2010, just a year after the Kiryat Yam sightings, another group of fishermen near Haifa, Israel, claimed to have chased a mermaid-like creature through the water. They were out late at night when they saw what they thought was a woman sitting on a rock. She turned, splashed her tail, and dove in. The fishermen gave chase in their boat. They said the creature moved faster than they could follow and eventually disappeared into deeper waters. What made this story so compelling was that it was reported alongside dozens of other local sightings. News crews even set up cameras along the shore, hoping to catch something on tape. Although no footage was ever captured, the consistency in witness statements made this case hard to ignore. Some speculated it was a dolphin, but the fishermen insist the face they saw was unmistakably human. Our final story comes from the Moken Sea nomads of Thailand, a group of fishermen who have lived on the water for centuries. In the early 2000s, a group of them claimed to have seen a pale, long-haired figure swimming just below the surface near their boats. They said it moved with incredible grace, surfacing briefly before diving down again. The creature didn't appear aggressive, but kept a distance as if it was watching them. Multiple fishermen saw it at once, and their stories matched in detail. The Moken people have a long history of mermaid legends, but this sighting stood out because it was one of the first they described to outsiders in detail. They claimed the creature's skin almost seemed to glow beneath the moonlight. No tourists or scientists were present, but the men who saw it swear to this day that it was real.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Minnesota mermaid. Imagine this. A tranquil day by a Minnesota lakeside takes a wild turn when an Australian tourist captures something extraordinary on camera. Men dressed in bright yellow hazmat suits rush to the shore, carefully handling a mysterious figure with a shimmering green tail. The sunlight dances off the scales as they lift it from the water's edge, the tail flicking ever so slightly. Could this be one of the most convincing mermaid sightings ever caught on tape? The contrast of the hazmat suits against the natural backdrop only deepens the mystery. What could possibly require such caution and such secrecy? As the footage spreads, it leaves everyone buzzing with excitement and questions. Have we finally caught a real glimpse of the legendary creatures that have captivated our imaginations for centuries? In our number 9 spot today, we have the mermaid on a rock. Soaring above the shimmering Mediterranean waters of Israel, an aerial camera captures a moment that has mermaid enthusiasts buzzing worldwide. Amidst the rolling ocean waves, a solitary rock stands defiantly, and there, defying all expectations, a graceful mermaid makes her appearance. With her iridescent green tail glistening under the sun, she scuttles confidently across the rocky surface before plunging back into the depths with a splash that ripples through the water. The video, though very brief, is astonishingly clear, making it one of the most convincing mermaid sightings ever caught on tape. Could this enchanting creature be a real inhabitant of our oceans, or is it just an elaborate hoax fueled by our love for mythical legends? As the footage began to circulate online, it ignited debates and it fueled the imagination, leaving us all wondering if the age-old tales of mermaids might just hold a hint of truth after all. In our number 8 spot today, we have the swimming with dolphins. Okay, this video is giving major aerial vibes, and it is exactly how I would like to picture a mermaid should they really be out there lurking in our oceans. In this mesmerizing footage, a stunning mermaid glides gracefully alongside a playful pod of dolphins, their sleek bodies moving in perfect harmony through the waves. At one thrilling moment, they all leap out of the water together, silhouetted against the horizon, making it hard to believe what your eyes are seeing. Filmed by an avid marine enthusiast, this video blurs the line between myth and reality, sparking debates. Could these enchanting creatures really coexist with our beloved marine mammals, or is this just an elaborate illusion crafted to revive ancient sea legends? As the video continues to circulate online, it definitely leaves us all wondering. In our number 7 spot today, we have GoPro on a shark. GoPro on a shark. Those are a few words I never thought I'd be putting together into a sentence, but it happened and it caught something insane. This video shows some fishermen, of course, putting a GoPro onto a shark and then releasing the shark to see what it captures. This is, I mean, a crazy but super interesting idea, but I'm sure no one expected what it was going to catch. The video is a bit murky considering this really is just a shark POV video, but this murkiness is exactly what makes every movement feel mysterious and unpredictable. As the camera starts recording, something extraordinary happens. Amidst the shadows and swirling currents, faint, graceful figures begin to move alongside the shark. These silhouettes resemble the legendary mermaids we've all heard about, elegant tails flickering and flowing as they navigate the underwater world with ease. This brief but captivating footage has quickly become one of the most convincing mermaid sightings ever caught. Could these enchanting beings really share the depths with these powerful sharks, or is it just a trick of the light and water? In our number 6 spot today, we have the shipwreck. Imagine plunging into the shadowy depths of a sunken ship where every creak and ripple tells a story of forgotten voyages. In this convincing footage, an intrepid explorer documents their underwater adventure with a steady hand. As they navigate the eerie shipwreck, schools of fish scatter through the murky water, and suddenly, one fish appears to be struck by a spear. Just when you think the suspense can't build anymore, a flash of movement catches the camera's eye. A swift, half-humanoid creature darts through the wreckage, snatching the fish with lightning speed before disappearing into the darkness. This fleeting glimpse of what some describe as a marine alien species blurs the line between legend and reality, leaving viewers mesmerized and questioning what truly lies beneath the waves. Could this mysterious being be living proof that mermaids or other mysterious sea creatures are in fact real? Picture a fish-like creature that washes up on shore with glowing scales, a monkey-like mouth, and hauntingly human eyes. It sounds made up, right? In Japan, this being is called the Ningyo, and it's part of local folklore for centuries. Some versions of the story say that eating its flesh grants immortality, but also comes with a terrifying curse. But here's where things get strange. Some historians and researchers believe these stories may have stemmed from real sightings of grotesque deep-sea animals like the stargazer fish, which buries itself in sand with its upward-facing, human-like eyes exposed. Others think fishermen stumbled upon rotting specimens of rarely seen species, mistook them for supernatural beings, and preserved them. In fact, some preserved Ningyo mummies still exist in Japanese temples. They're disturbing, misshapen hybrids, usually stitched together from fish and monkey parts, but the devotion they've received over the years suggests people really believed they were once alive. Whether hoax, hybrid, or hallucination, the Ningyo legend might just be the creepiest mermaid origin story of all. If you've ever walked along a beach and found a small black pouch with curled tendrils at each corner, congratulations, you found a mermaid's purse. At least that's what folklore called them. In truth, they're the egg cases of sharks, skates, and rays. But for centuries, no one knew that. Old mariners believed these mysterious, leathery pods were literal mermaid eggs. Some said they'd fallen off a mermaid as she climbed onto the rocks. Others claimed finding one meant a sea maiden was nearby spying on humans. In Celtic and Norse legends, these purses were seen as omens, either blessings or curses, depending on the tide and where they were found. It wasn't until marine biology advanced in the 19th century that scientists figured out that these were actually baby shark nurseries. But the nickname mermaid's purse stuck, and to this day, many kids grow up calling them that. It's one of those rare cases where a myth and a scientific fact overlap, because the ocean never gives up its secrets all at once. Okay, this one's gonna sound weird. Sea cucumbers are basically squishy blobs that crawl along the ocean floor, but in several Pacific Island and Southeast Asian legends, they're not just sea slugs, they're shapeshifters. In Polynesian myth, there are tales of sea beings that could morph into women, walk on land, seduce fishermen, and then slip back into the sea as a boneless creature. It sounds like fantasy, but here's where it gets interesting. Some species of sea cucumber can eject their internal organs when threatened and then regrow them. Others can liquefy their bodies and slide through tiny crevices. Early sailors, unfamiliar with these bizarre defense mechanisms, believed sea cucumbers were magical or cursed. In Micronesia, elders speak of ocean spirits with bodies that, quote, melted into the waves. It's not hard to connect the dots between a regenerating, shape-shifting sea creature and the more bizarre mermaid myths. This is nature playing its weirdest cards, and humans, as always, turning those cards into stories. Now imagine it's nighttime. The fog rolls in, the only sound is the gentle lapping of waves until a guttural, human-like wail echoes from the rocks. You're not hallucinating. That scream? It's an elephant seal. Northern elephant seals are massive. Males can grow over 4,000 pounds, and they make some of the eeriest sounds in the animal kingdom. During mating season, they bellow and howl in ways that are disturbingly close to human cries. Early explorers along the California and Alaskan coasts described seeing, quote, grotesque mermaids on the shore, bloated bodies, long faces, wide eyes. Many of these reports likely described elephant seals in the middle of a fight or mating display. There are also Inuit stories of sea women with tragic voices who lured hunters too far from land. Some of those tales might have been inspired by real-life encounters with these beasts. It's a reminder that sometimes the creepiest mermaids aren't graceful or seductive, they are loud, aggressive, and built like a refrigerator with flippers. Our final creature might be the least mermaid-like, but it also might be the most terrifying. The deep-sea anglerfish looks like a demon from a nightmare. The females are huge compared to the males. They have bioluminescent lures growing from their heads and mouths lined with translucent, inward-pointing teeth. They live over a mile deep in the ocean, so deep that sunlight doesn't reach them, and when they rise towards the surface, usually only when dead or dying, they are absolutely horrifying to witness. I'm sure we all remember the anglerfish that went viral on TikTok earlier this year. I miss her. Some siren legends from Greece and West Africa mention sea women who glowed in the dark, hypnotized sailors with strange lights, and devoured men whole. Sound a little familiar? Scientists didn't get a full view of a live anglerfish until the early 2000s. Before that, all we had were creepy, half-rotted specimens. Imagine one of those washing up on shore in the Middle Ages. You'd absolutely think it was a demon or a sea witch. In a way, anglerfish are the purest proof that the ocean has always been full of creatures so bizarre, so alien that our minds did what they always do, turn them into myths. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye!
First up, we have the Australia sighting. A video that was uploaded in 2010 has recently resurfaced that was taken at the Great Barrier Reef. The footage shows a mysterious creature, a mermaid, swimming in the distance. Now the video has more than 2.7 million views, and there's another video as well from the same person which has more than 4 million views. The narrator of the video explains how he went to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia to test an underwater cage that he had recently bought. 2 films were recorded, explains the narrator. He said he was testing out his camera and how to operate it, and he felt something behind him. He added that he only spotted the mermaid after he watched the footage on the computer. He never saw her in real life. Now he claims that the video is real, not edited, not faked. Some people are claiming it's just a human in a costume, but I don't know. It looks pretty real to me. Up next, we have the Canada sighting. In June 1967, a mermaid was spotted on Main Island. She was seen in the early evening by passengers on ferries close to the west entrance to Active Pass. The Daily Colonist reported the sightings and included a photograph. Several witnesses said the mermaid had a large fish, apparently coho salmon, and one swore she had taken a bite out of it, the Colonist said on June 13th, 1967. Long silver blonde hair and topless condition were generally agreed upon. Now the next day, the Colonist referred to her as the dimpled mermaid and said that she had the lower body of a fish or porpoise. The newspaper said she had been at Helen Point and had been seen eating a large salmon. A Cobble Hill man who flew over the area shortly after 7 p.m. managed to get an aerial photograph which reportedly corresponded closely to another photo taken. Then on June 15th, the newspaper reported that a $25,000 reward would be offered for the dimpled mermaid of Active Pass. The offer was made by Charles White of the Undersea Gardens, who added that a panel of competent marine biologists would have to confirm that the mermaid was the real thing. He also promised to negotiate a contract with the mermaid. I think we could come to terms. We would offer a substantial salary, room and board, and a supply of those special combs that mermaids use, he said. Now unfortunately, no mermaid came forward, and the story kind of just disappeared. Moving on to the Jamaica sighting. Jamaica seems to be a hotspot for mermaid sightings. I mean, there are hundreds of them. From YouTube to TikTok to Reddit, people have been sharing their stories. Now, this particular video was taken at Flatbridge, where there have always been rumors of sightings. Now in the video, you can hear people saying it's a mermaid. Watch, a mermaid, Jesus. Oh, she's gone, a woman says. Now Daniel Gale, who has been diving and fishing in in the area for the last 10 years says the river has a season when the mermaid wants blood, and that's when a series of accidents usually occur. Whenever the river changes its color and gets dirty like now, that's when it's dangerous, and that's usually when the mermaid is active, Daniel told the Star. It said that the only thing that will quiet the mermaid is blood, so as soon as it's satisfied, all accidents will cease. Now, it seems like this mermaid is no Little Mermaid type and is more evil than people thought. Now we have caught in a net. Fishermen are pretty brave. They sail in stormy weather, they've seen all different types of animals, nothing can really scare them. Well, that is unless they stumble upon a mermaid. In a viral video, it appears that some fishermen caught a mermaid in a net. Now, they didn't need to do this, they were just trying to see what fish they caught, and boom, a clearly humanoid arm with a webbed hand reached back at them from the net as if it was trying to grab the men. Now, the men leaned back to avoid it, and unfortunately the net slipped and fell back into the ocean. They then scrambled to lean over the side of the ship to see if they could catch another glimpse of the creature, but they couldn't, and whatever they saw got away, never to be seen again. Now let's talk about the Spain sightings. While it's rare to even see a mermaid, spotting a mermaid in the same place twice is even more rare. But it seems like Spain is the place for this to happen. Travelers on a cruise noticed a figure sitting on a distant rock deep within the ocean. Upon closer observation, it became clear that this figure was a mermaid, sunbathing and relaxing. They recorded the video in Morocco, Spain. Then this other video was taken by two friends who were surfing together. They were just recording each other and having fun, but it seems like they actually caught a mermaid on film too. You can see its tail coming out of the water and going back in. Now, as they both spot the creature in the water, you can tell that they're scared and they decide to leave, which was probably the best option because they would not want to get dragged underwater by that thing. Now, the most recent sighting is the 2023 sighting. In this extremely viral TikTok clip, seafarer who goes by the username @sauce.90 on social media, his real name being Ryan Coleman, filmed two mysterious figures swimming by his boat as it traveled through the choppy waves. Now, as he records, his voice can be heard saying, "What are those? What's going on?" Pointing the camera at the sea, he notes, "Something swimming fast underneath the water, something swimming real fast." Now, everyone in the comments believes it's mermaids that are keeping up with his ship. Now, a strange wailing can be heard in the background as he asks the camera, "What the F is that noise, bro? What is that noise?" Then, as he continues to remark that he can hear the strange intruders, a shrieking voice announces, "Jump for me." Now, just hearing it creeps me out. Just listen. Ugh, now how he was able to stay calm after hearing that is beyond me.
In our number 5 spot today, we have the mermaid POV. Okay, we've already had a shark POV on this list today, but now we've got a video from the POV of an actual mermaid. I guess this video is like what would happen if mermaids could go live. Imagine diving into the deep blue from the very eyes of a mermaid herself. This video immerses you into an underwater world like no other. The footage starts with an intimate close-up of delicate neck gills, subtly moving as the mermaid breathes beneath the surface. Her graceful hands glide through the water, fingers trailing along vibrant coral and swaying seaweed, showcasing an elegance that feels almost otherworldly. As she navigates through the ocean currents, the camera captures her seamless movements, blending effortlessly with the surrounding marine life. Every moment is filled with wonder, making you question whether these enchanting beings truly exist or if it's all just an elaborate illusion crafted by nature's magic. Could this POV footage be the real proof that we've been searching for? In our number 4 spot today, we have the Zimbabwe mermaid. Imagine strolling along the tranquil waters beneath a bridge in Zimbabwe when suddenly something extraordinary catches your eye. In this video, the camera swiftly zooms in to reveal a mesmerizing mermaid-like creature perched gracefully on a rocky shore. Her shimmering tail flicks in the sunlight as she moves from one rock to another, showcasing a blend of creepy movements and a ton of mystery. In the background, another figure can be seen moving by the pillars waters of the bridge, making this a rare time when possibly 2 mermaids were caught on tape at the same time. As the mermaid swings her tail and hops onto different rocks, her movements are so unhuman-like that it leaves a creepy feeling behind. Just as quickly as she appears, she slips behind the bridge, leaving viewers wondering if they've witnessed a true legend or an elaborate illusion. Could this enchanting creature truly inhabit the waters of Zimbabwe, or is it a stunning glimpse into the mythical world we've always dreamed of? In our number 3 spot today, we have the siren call. This video was posted to TikTok by the user megpie7, and it shows the call of a siren being heard. The video starts off with Meg just casually fishing off the dock in the night. Meg probably thought she was gonna have a nice, calm evening. Little did she know she was about to make quite the catch. The concept of the siren call has its roots deep in ancient Greek mythology, where sirens were depicted as enchanting yet perilous creatures. Originally portrayed as part bird and part woman, sirens inhabited remote islands and were famous for their mesmerizing songs. These alluring melodies were so captivating that they would lure sailors off course, causing them to crash their ships onto rocky shores. One of the most famous tales involving sirens is found in Homer's Odyssey, where the hero Odysseus orders his crew to plug their ears with beeswax and have himself tied to the mast to safely navigate past the siren's irresistible song. Over time, the image of sirens has evolved, often blending with mermaid folklore to become more human-like, featuring beautiful women with fishtails. This is all to say that what this video captures is pretty insane and might really be something that is the stuff of legends. In our number 2 spot today, we have the real mermaid. I'll be honest, this video doesn't really have me totally convinced, but I couldn't leave it out of this list today. This video was posted to YouTube, and it just features some guys hanging out at what looks like some kind of freshwater river. They start off the video by saying that they are on a mermaid hunt and that this specific body of water always draws them in. Maybe it's the siren call that they're unknowingly hearing. Before long, they turn the camera toward the water, and one of the men points out what we are all waiting to see. Just beneath the surface of the water, you can see the silhouette of a mermaid as she glides on by. The men quickly make quips about how it's strange to see such a creature in a freshwater setting as opposed to the usual salt water we would expect, but to be honest, does it really matter when we're talking about a fictional creature? Probably not, but I can definitely appreciate the attention to detail. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the Australian Barrier Reef. Imagine diving into the vibrant, kaleidoscopic waters of the Great Barrier Reef, where every coral formation bursts with color and life. As schools of tropical fish weave through the swaying sea anemones, a graceful figure glides into view. A stunning mermaid with a shimmering tail that mirrors the reef's brilliant hues. Her movements are fluid and mesmerizing, seamlessly blending with the surrounding marine life as she swims gracefully past intricate coral structures. The video, captured by an awe-inspired snorkeler, perfectly balances the natural beauty of the reef with the mysterious allure of this mythical creature. Could this be real proof that mermaids share these pristine waters with us, or is it just a trick of light and perspective? As the footage spread across social media, it sparked debate, keeping the legend of mermaids alive and more captivating than ever. Whether a genuine glimpse into a hidden world or a stunning piece of underwater artistry, this video continues to inspire our dreams of what lies beneath the surface.